Hello everyone, I'm Nubicus Maximus, the Disgruntled Jedi. And it's that time again, time to review Star Trek Discovery's third episode of Season 2, Point of Light. This episode was interesting, I'll be honest, but it was also enlightening. I learned a lot about this show from the episode, and I think that might help me going forward to understand why this show is the way that it is. This episode has 3 storylines that run concurrently and have almost no overlap whatsoever. The primary storyline involves L'Rell and Ash Tyler on the Klingon homeworld of Kronos, with Burnham being consulted, of course. But it's the third one to actually pop up in the show, and it's the most important and the only one that actually has a resolution. The second storyline involves Amanda, Burnham, and Spock, and the third storyline, which seems to be developing over several episodes, involves Tilly with a little bit of Stamets and Saru, and of course Burnham thrown in for good measure. The episode jumps back and forth between these 3 storylines consistently, and although it's pretty easy to follow in the episode, I think it would be easier if we went through the storylines one by one in the review. The first to come up is the Spock storyline, so we'll start there. The episode begins with Burnham looking at the red dots and saying, "Any rational explanation for the 7 signals," which she means the 7 red bursts, "continues to elude me." Apparently even Burnham is confused why she can't figure this out instantly. Burnham, starting off strong. She then equates solving the mystery with restoring her relationship with her brother Spock, and I'm confused how the two are connected, but okay. Apparently she needs to see what Spock saw so they can make a connection personally or something. I don't know. On the bridge, there is a ship on an intercept course. The bridge goes nuts trying to figure out who it is, and Pike even sends a message saying if they don't identify themselves, they will engage tactical systems. I'm sure he means shields, not weapons, right? Picard wouldn't fire on a ship even if it's not identifying himself. He would just raise shields and not weapons, right? Honestly, with this show, I'm not even sure. Turns out the ship belongs to Sarek. Probably a good thing they didn't fire on it. Pike is concerned that he may be there because he found out that Spock committed himself to a mental hospital, and that Pike did not actually call to tell his father or tell Sarek when they were on the ship. Burnham consoles Pike about it not being his fault. I really wanted to add this as a Burnhamism. I really did. But I didn't because it's actually a normal thing for a person to say. Burnham then goes to meet Sarek in the transporter room. But surprise! It's not Sarek. It's Amanda, Sarek's wife, and Spock and Burnham's mother. I'm noticing a trend with using who's beaming over as a running gag. I wonder if it will be in every other episode? I seriously hope not, because it's really not that good, but oh well. Amanda hugs Burnham and whispers, "Don't react. Spock needs our help. I could only turn to you." Because of course she needs Burnham. This also started something in this episode with Amanda and Burnham that really bugged me. They whisper in every single scene. It doesn't matter where they are. In the transporter room, in the hallway, in a room by themselves. They are constantly whispering to one another. I had to crank the speakers up and lean in just to hear them a few times in this episode. Now granted, maybe it's my speaker setup, maybe it's just me, but wow, speak up guys. Amanda explains that she went to Starbase 5 to see Spock, and they wouldn't give her access to him or any of his effects despite her being next of kin. So she did the next logical thing and stole all of his medical files. I'm not sure the word logic means what you think it means here, Amanda. She came to Burnham because she needs Burnham to decrypt it. I actually got to laugh at the look Burnham gave Amanda. We've all given this look to our mothers at one point or another where they ask us to do something that's either just crazy or impossible. So I'm not going to give her a Burnhamism for this one because that is so totally a look I've given my mother before. They go to Pike and ask Pike to decrypt and open the files, and he says he can't. Burnham argues with Pike, and Pike looks at Amanda in a charming way, asks, "Was she this bossy as a kid?" Amanda responds with, "On Vulcan, we call it persistence. And yes, she was. She learned it from me." Because of course she did. Pike calls the asylum and finds out that Spock is wanted for murdering 3 of his doctors and then escaped the base. And that Spock's files are now missing, creating an even bigger emergency and the potential for a conspiracy. Good job, Amanda. You really helped things out here. Amanda and Burnham convince Pike that Spock is gentle and kind and not a murderer. Pike agrees and orders Burnham to crack the encryption on the medical files. Burnham hacks the files and sees the medical report stating that Spock's issue is, and I am not making this up, extreme empathy deficits. And I just about laughed my ass off. Come on, guys, this is honestly the best you can do. He's Vulcan. I'm not sure empathy is a logical thing to have. Amanda reveals that extreme empathy deficit is code for psychopathy. I swear to God, at this point they're making up words. Unless she means psychopathy, which literally means mental illness according to Google. Amanda explains that Sarek wanted Spock raised in a Vulcan manner, so she had to withdraw and not give Spock what he needed. This goes against everything we have ever seen of Amanda in the original series and movies. She was the polar opposite of Sarek, where Sarek was cold and logical. Amanda was emotional and passionate. Spock chose the Vulcan way of life. He wasn't forced into it. It was his decision. Amanda explains that she gave Burnham all the joy and affection that she was not permitted to give to Spock. Kind of getting a vibe that they are blaming this all on Sarek. And then she says that if Spock had been able to embrace his emotions, he wouldn't be in the kind of trouble he's in now. This is a seriously dumb direction they are taking this. Then images of the Red Angel start to flash on screen. Amanda recounts how Spock saw them as a child, and recounts a story of one time when Burnham got lost, that Spock was able to find her without looking because he said the Red Angel pointed him to where she was. And holy crap, why are you whispering in a room where you are alone? I know you don't want to be heard by the crew, but the audience needs to hear you. Speak up. Burnham then explains that the logic extremists, not joking, logic extremists, hated Burnham but couldn't get to her, so they went after Spock instead. And since Spock was her little shadow, she had to wound him deep enough to get him to leave, so as not to be hurt by the logic extremists. Do I even need to say it at this point? Burnham says that she will find Spock. Amanda then kisses Burnham and says that she will find Spock, and then walks away. Honestly, the scenes with Amanda are just odd in this entire series, and the kiss she gave Burnham was not a very motherly kiss. More like that of an ex-girlfriend. Oh God, we all thought Spock and Burnham might have had a thing. But what if it was really... No, not going there, not going there. Get out of my brain! Maybe that's what drove Spock nuts. Anyway, after that, we don't see Amanda again for the rest of the episode. She's just, poof, gone. Tilly's story begins with her running a half marathon through the hallways. Apparently this half marathon also comes with the hallways being blacked out and lights flickering and crap for some reason. I don't know at all. Tilly then runs face first into the ghost of her dead friend, and there is exposition about how only Tilly can see her. Tilly has an argument with the ghost and says it's a symptom of an unfit mind. She then takes off down the hallway to catch the rest of the half-marathoners. She catches them and beats them, including beating her own personal record. I kind of find this hard to believe as everyone else running looks like they are professional athletes, and Tilly, no offense to the character or the actress, doesn't really look like she's in fit enough shape to outrun these people. Don't get me wrong, I couldn't outrun them either, but just sort of hurts the believability here a little bit. Burnham then pops up and congratulates Tilly on her victory while the ghost takes credit for helping her. Tilly ignores the ghost and says that it's because of Burnham's training, and thanks Burnham, because of course she does. It's supposed to be a dig at the ghost, but it still feels very Burnham heavy and Burnham centric, like this entire show. Tilly then goes to a shadow exercise on the bridge where she follows around officers. And her ghost is there and is curious about if Pike is the captain. When Tilly explains to the ghost that he is the captain, the ghost freaks out saying that the captain is funny. The captain isn't supposed to be funny. Tilly plays it off that the ghost is thinking about Lorca. The ghost then describes Stamets to a T. Shorter, blonde, not funny, very pale skin. It's fricking Stamets. Anyone paying attention could tell it's Stamets. Anyone except for Tilly. The ghost continues to yell at Tilly that she needs to find the real captain, and finally Tilly yells back. But because no one can see the ghost, Tilly ends up yelling directly at Pike, and then dropping out of the command program and leaving. Now, setting aside that this is Star Trek and taking place in a Star Trek universe, had this happened in real life, had somebody just started screaming at somebody for no reason, gotten up crying, and left, anyone there would immediately call an ambulance for the person, thinking that the person had had some sort of psychotic breakdown, or worse, an actual legitimate stroke. Instead, everyone lets her walk off the bridge. Wow, realism. Tilly explains the situation to Burnham while the ghost yells at her. The ghost comments that Tilly's eyes are dripping. When she explains this to Burnham, Burnham points out that since she didn't know what crying was, she has to be an alien. Honestly, any Star Trek fan, including Tilly, should have known that this was an alien, so we needed Burnham to solve this, because of course we did. Burnham then explains it has to have something to do with the spores, because the dark matter shocked Tilly and not Burnham. She then says, "You don't need sickbay, you need Stamets." No, she really does need sickbay. She has a parasite in her. She needs sickbay. You can bring Stamets to sickbay. Holy crap, how are these people still alive? Stamets finds out that Tilly is carrying a mirror universe spore inside of her that she picked up from a previous episode. And that is what is making the ghost appear. Tilly immediately asks how to get it out of her. The ghost is pleading with Tilly that she needs Tilly and needs to talk to Stamets. Why isn't Tilly listening to the ghost just for a little bit to figure out what the hell is going on? But no, instead they use the dark matter asteroid to yank the fungus out of Tilly, and holy crap, it's huge. Well, at least compared to what I thought it would be anyway. They trap it in a containment field, and that's the last we see of it. Apparently this story will be continued later, I guess, because you just never see anything about it ever again. The third and final story thread starts on Kronos, the Klingon homeworld, with L'Rell and Tyler showing off plans for a new battlecruiser, the D7, saying that it will be made for the Empire and not the 24 Klingon houses. Honestly, having watched Next Gen and Deep Space Nine, I always got the impression there were a lot more than 24 houses. That there were big, powerful houses and lesser houses, and then really, really small houses. And that people from the smaller, weaker houses would work for the more powerful houses in the hopes of building up their own house. But whatever, continuity is played fast and loose in this show. One of the Klingons, wearing face paint, argues about whether Tyler is human or Klingon. He references his son Kor at one point, so he's supposed to be the father of the character played by John Colossus in TOS. I didn't actually catch the character's name. It's said, but it keeps eluding me to pronounce it, so I will refer to him as the Rival. The Klingon, the Rival, references the 7 red dots as 7 drops of blood that appeared after L'Rell took power. Tyler cuts him off and tries to scratch the paint off of the Klingon's face. This will be important later. Remember this. I also have to say that Tyler is probably the least threatening Klingon I have ever seen. At no point did I believe that this guy could stand his own against the Klingons, especially not the ones that were there in the room, not even the old one, the Rival. I also got to laugh at how ridiculously bad the Klingons looked. They added hair so they look less like orcs, but wow, the hair that they added in most cases is just horrifically badly done. Tyler and L'Rell have a little spat about how other Klingons don't treat Tyler like a Klingon, while he tries to wash the red paint off of his fingers. He comments that for other Klingons to treat him like a Klingon, L'Rell must treat him like Vok, the Klingon he was before he was altered. L'Rell responds by grabbing him and kissing him. This completely shoots Tyler down, as apparently Vok and L'Rell were lovers. L'Rell still wants to be with Tyler, even as a human, but Tyler's heart is with another. I'm gonna bet it's gonna be Burnham, because of course it is. He then tells her that her touching him feels like a violation. This is a major blow to L'Rell, and honestly I think it would be a blow to anybody. Tyler calls Burnham to advise her of the issues on Kronos, instead of calling someone in Starfleet Command. They then have an awkward conversation which implies that Ash still has feelings for Burnham, because of course he does. They also comment that now that the war is over, the Klingons are growing their hair out again. I got the impression the war just ended, like a few months ago, maybe a year at the absolute most. This is a year's worth of hair growth? Holy crap! We see that Tyler still cannot get the paint off his hands, and while trying, he notices someone spying on him. He follows the spy to L'Rell's uncle and discovers he is taking care of a baby. The baby of L'Rell and Vok, the Klingon that became Ash Tyler. L'Rell explains the situation to Tyler, something about getting pregnant just as Vok was being transformed and not being able to give birth with Vok on Discovery, and implied the baby was put in cryo, which is why it is so small. Honestly, nothing in this scene made sense. What we're supposed to take from it is that L'Rell has never seen the baby. It's a liability, and that hurts her. And that Tyler apparently wants to be a father to the baby and a husband to L'Rell. Commendable. That's what he should do. L'Rell and Tyler go to retrieve their son, only to find the child kidnapped by the father of Kor, the rival. Apparently, the paint stuck to Tyler's hands is a listening device. Honestly, I've seen Stranger in Star Trek, so I'll let this one go. The rival wants control of the Empire in exchange for the baby. They confront the rival, who basically says L'Rell is too weak to be Chancellor because she is a woman. L'Rell refuses to sign over control of the Empire to the toxic male, and a fight ensues using hand-to-hand combat, because why not? The fight isn't bad, but it's honestly not great. They use a lot of slow motion to try and show off the moves, but the moves aren't that fantastic to begin with. They defeat all of the guards, and L'Rell saves Tyler after he is stabbed. Honestly, the fight would have been a lot better if they didn't slow it down at all. One thing I did notice that I thought was kind of cool was the Klingons would bleed pinkish blood like they did in Star Trek VI, so that was a really nice continuity touch. The Klingon rival comes out of the shadows, as well as his entire B team of guards, and immediately paralyzes both Tyler and L'Rell. Why didn't you do this before you lost your entire A team of guards? Why didn't you open with this move? Seriously? The rival explains that they will slowly suffocate, but uses L'Rell's still living hand to sign power over to him. Then, the Black Manta from Aquaman decloaks with a killbot that vaporizes the entire B team of guards, and places the rival in a stasis bubble. Black Manta then releases Tyler and L'Rell. L'Rell kills the rival and gets her child back. Black Manta is revealed to be the Empress from the Mirror Universe. And what the hell is going on? Mirror Giorgio tells L'Rell that she needs to get the Empire in order, or the heads of the other houses will use their tiny male brains to think about why they aren't in charge. Giorgio also says that she needs to get rid of Tyler and her son because she can't show weakness in any way. The next time we see L'Rell, she is giving a speech to the High Council. One of the things that stood out to me about this scene was that the speech started in Klingon with English subtitles. Then in the middle, the subtitles shifted to Klingon and the speech continued in English. I mean Federation Standard. And all sarcasm aside, I know I'm kind of sarcastic in these things, that was really artistic way of doing the translation. I really enjoyed that. That was really cool. L'Rell explains a fictional version of what happened, with Tyler and her rival, saying Tyler betrayed the Klingons and then reveals Tyler's severed head. She then explains that Tyler killed her infant, and she also shows the severed head of the baby, explaining that her rival tried to save L'Rell from Tyler, and that the rival died in the process, neatly wrapping up the cover story of what really happened in a way that would rally the Empire around her. She then goes on to explain that she will only bear one child, and that now that that child is gone, she takes the whole of the Empire as her children, and that they should no longer call her Chancellor, but something far more fierce. Mother. Honestly, I rolled so hard I think I might have actually pulled something in my head. By the time my eyes came back down, I was dizzy and seeing stars. Don't get me wrong, I've met some seriously fierce mothers, and I have the greatest respect for my own mom, and my grandmothers, and my aunts, and my friends that are mothers. But this is a weird as hell line to use to sway Klingons to your cause. But this is where I figured out the real purpose of Discovery. What it really is. It's not a Star Trek TV series. It was never intended to be. It's a girl power series. And I'll have more on that in a minute. I want to finish the review first. Anyways, the episode wraps up on a Section 31 ship with Tyler and the baby. There is exposition to explain that they grew fake heads to fool the Klingons, and asks Mirror Giorgio what kind of covert operation could do that. Giorgio shows him a Black Starfleet badge, and Tyler acknowledges Section 31, and that he had heard of the black badges, but never seen one. Really? Because they were on the Discovery. Were you not paying attention? They take the baby to a planet with a monastery, where no one is allowed in ever. Not even the parents. giving the child a safe life, what every parent would want, no matter how much it would hurt them. Evil Giorgio tries to recruit Tyler, but he appears to decline. A conversation with the ship's captain implies that despite his decline, he is actually already in. And that ends the episode. So, this episode was a bit confusing, to be honest. The three storylines don't have anything to do with one another. The storylines of Amanda and Tilly just seem to stop without a resolution. I know they are planning to drag them across the season, but they just kind of seem to stop. And honestly, they are so confusingly thrown in that you kind of forget they were there in the first place. The Klingon story was more of a traditional Star Trek storyline, and is where I came to my revelation about the show. It's not what they're trying to market to people. The show is not a Star Trek show. It's a girl power show that takes place in a Star Trek universe. Look at this episode. Who were the main characters? L'Rell, Amanda, Burnham, Tilly, the Ghost, and Tyler. 5 women and 1 man. And the man is actually kind of feminine in his sensibilities. Don't get me wrong, I have no issue with the character himself, especially not him wanting to be a good father. We need more of those in this world. But the episode is very female-centric, so why are they not marketing it like this? Why are they trying to bring in traditional Star Trek fans instead of marketing it for what it actually is, a girl power show, and trying to bring in that crowd? And honestly, I don't know.
Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think?
Let me know in the comments below.